welcome to the 6th Tonkocast. We're really excited this week to have dear friends of ours, Bobby, Chiu, and Kei Acedera.
Yeah, we're such good friends, right? And what an inspiring duo. Bobby started Imaginism with Kei quite a long time ago, right? And way before we started our own studio, and they've just been building this amazing kind of studio on their own.
Yeah, and Bobby, and both of them as individuals are impressive. Bobby is kind of, I would say, an industry leader in a way. He's built a platform for education around the world online, Schoolism. And Imaginism has worked on incredible films and pieces, and he's really well known as an artist, but I think for us as a friend, he's been an amazing person to consult in business as well.
I mean, one of the reasons why we did Schoolism is, of course, we shared a passion for education like Bobby, but also we wanted to learn from Bobby just by working with him, right? And of course, his partner and wife, Kei, is such an incredible artist.
Yeah, one of our, I think, favorite artists. Her sensibilities, really, you could see it come from her personality. Really a sweet, sincere person. That one of our favorite, artists to watch their work go out there.
Yeah, what an incredible, very kind of different but amazing couple. Their new show, they created with a few other people, Nico.
In the Sword of Light, just won a daytime
Emmy Awards,
which is huge.
Incredible. Yeah, and then the series is coming out very soon, so that's exciting.
Yeah, and so we're excited to talk to them and share with you guys kind of our conversation with friends of ours, and very casual, but we learned a lot from it. And so please enjoy our Tonkocast. How do you guys collaborate? Like, is that like from the very beginning? I mean, because you guys are both, it's not like one writes and one draws. Both of you guys are artists. How do you guys collaborate, like on a project like that, creating something?
It works really well with us because, and that's something that a lot of people ask us about, like, how does that work? You guys both are creative people, but Kei has a really good eye, and I trust her, so strategy stuff, I tend to take the lead. But if it's like art stuff, we'll both do it, but she'll more take the lead. And, there's been plenty of times where I think I'm done, and then she'll look at it and go, you know what, you could do better though. And then, that's like the signal. I gotta start all over.
I felt like we needed it because no one will tell us, or no one will be as critical.
No, that's great.
With us, because all our families look at our work and like, oh, that's so good. And like,
But is it more like you guys still stay separate, creating separate artwork, just kind of help each other, giving objective eyes, or
right.
do you ever like work on the same painting?
We have.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, definitely, especially for our concept artwork for the films. Yeah, we just pass it along to each other if one is stuck or one has a better idea on something.
And we. In that respect, Kei is really, really good at doing beautiful or like cute or elegant, whimsical things. I feel confident in like weird, creepy, ugly, but appealing things. So,
Humorous.
Together we can fill that whole spectrum, right? Like, I want a kind of ugly, but still kind of cute and elegant. And I'll be like, okay, then maybe I'll take a bit more of that lead.
So when did Imaginism start, and then when did you join?
So Imaginism started 11 years ago, right?
Wow.
So that was like 2005, and Kei joined 2005. It wasn't very long at all. It was just like a couple months.
Oh, okay.
2006.
Oh, you joined in 2000? See, okay.
So you had 1 year of what's the concept of Imaginism, just so listeners can understand?
Right, so it's this, we pretend it's a real studio, but it's just imaginary. So we call it Imaginism Studios. That was kind of like how it was in the beginning, like we all had an apartment together. But the idea is that we wanted to work on movies, pre-production, generally characters, and generally whimsical, fantastical things. That's what we kind of want to do the most.
Got it. And you guys were in an apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And when you say just the two of you, or?
And then we adopted Thierry T-Bear, and he was living with us, in this cramped little apartment. There was no furniture in the apartment. There were 2 beds and desks. That's it, and we would eat ramen noodles, like how they say startups, eating off of these stools that we would otherwise sit on, and just to kind of give you an idea, we had a 11-inch little tiny TV, and we're watching the World Cup, and we couldn't see anything. We're just like, what's going on? You could just hear the announcers and to figure out what's going on. And that was my first big goal, was like, next World Cup, we are watching it on a big screen TV. Awesome. And it's funny to think that was like
that was the
big
goal.
part of my motivation to succeed.
And you achieved it.
The next World Cup, it was on like a 50-something inch TV. So, but I don't even care for soccer, so it's kind of funny that
Right,
it's
it
just
wasn't about that.
Yeah, I was just more pissed. Like, why are we struggling? Why is this my life?
Yeah.
But that's great. Having negative motivation to drive you, negative motivation, like stuff that you really want to get away from to drive you, is super powerful, right? It's crazy powerful in the beginning.
What was Imaginism's like first real big? Like when was that moment? Like you go from this moment of watching TV. On we're trying to watch World Cup on TV to now Imaginism's. I mean, you guys worked on Alice Through the Looking Glass, and you guys are. I mean, your works are all over the place. We see it on social media all the time. Beautiful stuff. But where was that moment that you could look back on now and say, kind of like that was a very important, critical moment to our kind of ongoing success? I guess
there never was one. There's it's almost like steps. Right, and some steps are bigger than others, but it's hard to kind of pinpoint which ones was like that moment. I don't think there really was, but definitely a couple of the biggest steps was Alice in Wonderland. There were 3 character designers on there, and Kei and I were 2 of them, and then that did really well for Disney financially, and then all of a sudden everybody started calling us. But that was our 6th film that we worked on, right? Like the other ones, people came to us before they had the big budget. So many of those projects fell by the wayside, never saw the light of day. And Alice was our 6th movie that we worked on. So that was a huge step.
But all those projects were important too, meeting.
Yeah, it started creating internal buzz in the industry, right? Instead of like normal people knowing anything that we did.
Right. Yeah. You guys are kind of, I don't know a ton of like really successful couples that both work in the concept art field. Can you guys tell us a little bit about, I mean, we've talked before, but can you guys tell us a little bit about how you guys met and kind of your, like, I know you guys both went to school, but like, how did you guys meet and what's that story?
I saw Kei first before she saw me. Back in the day, when I was in school, it was like 7% girls. And my year, literally 7 girls, 90-something guys, and 2 were gay. So then we had so little to choose from, we had no chance, pretty much. We had no chance. And then all these girls, more and more girls started coming into the animation industry. I don't know if you've noticed that with like schools and everything. Now it's like more girls than guys. So in Kei, she came to Sheridan College when I came back to school. I graduated, worked a bit, and came back for computer animation. I saw her in the window of this classroom, and she was just sitting there, not paying any attention to me, but I was looking at her.
That was hard at work. That was my mission.
Yeah.
That was my mission, there's like a natural attraction already, but I was like, you know, I'm gonna do my thing, and I can learn all this stuff on my own, and I don't need any help kind of like attitude.
Yes, and I tried to use it to my advantage. Like, you're new here, you don't know anything. Let me show you the ropes. Let me take care of you.
But it like there was just a natural like we just clicked. Like I hung out with him. I was like, this guy is cool. Like you know, everything that we talked about, like design and art life, and you know, what we aspire to do. You know, it was fun, and then you know, it just kind of happened. Like, oh, let's make this, and like, yeah, why not? Let's make some books, and let's like do this story, or you know.
But it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy because, like, in the beginning, we're both very driven, you know, in our own paths, and Kei especially, because I still wanted to pursue Kei, and she just wanted to focus on art, and so she literally broke up with me like probably 40 times in the first like 2 months.
I made it a point to just
every
focus
other
on
day,
school.
pretty much. But you know,
that
like
was a different phase.
but that really helped in the long run, because then I learned to deal with rejection well. Right?
Everything's a lesson. Huh?
Yeah, you just don't give up. So and before Kei graduated, we you know, I started a studio, Imaginism Studios. Kei was still going to school, and then she was a part of it. We went to Comic-Con, and we started to get jobs, you know. So then when we got back, Kei was like, I don't want to go back to school. And I was like, okay, sure, because I need your help to get all this stuff done.
How does Imaginism work? Now you have several artists,
Yes.
right? Obviously, in the beginning it was just two of you, but do you take a project as Imaginism, and then sort of like you kind of guarantee this is the quality we can guarantee as Imaginism?
Right. So, well, one thing that we believe heavily in. Sorry,
No, go ahead.
Okay. One thing I believe heavily in is that it should be about the artists that work in our studio, not the studio itself. But it's much easier to pitch the studio to companies to get the jobs, right? So they'll want one of us, or both of us, or maybe one of the other artists, and we'll say, okay, well, when they ask about credits and things, we'll say, yeah, put that person's name in there. We don't want Imaginism Studios as the credit.
Right.
We want that person's name in there, right? And we use the Imaginism umbrella so that we can have other studios be okay with somebody that they never heard of working on the project, because we'll say, well, this is an Imaginism product or whatever, so we will make sure that it's up to our standards before it gets to you. So yeah, they might not have heard of so-and-so, but they'll be okay with letting that person do something.
Yeah, got it. And now it's a studio. Now it's an actual space.
Now it's a real studio,
Yeah.
so maybe
It's no longer in the apartment.
Yes,
You're sitting on
yes.
stools
It's
now.
no
instead of
longer a
eating out.
commune.
Yeah.
Yes, because it was very much like a commune. It started off in an apartment. We all lived in an apartment. Then things got real busy, and we got another apartment up, you know, bunch of flights up in the same building. So we would just ride the elevator up and down all day. And then we got a house where we all piled into the house and all lived in the house.
Oh wow.
That was wonderful.
fun.
That was really
Yeah.
great. And then everybody started to move out and get in their own place. And then we moved out of the house and got a studio space. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's inspiring.
Yeah.
I mean, especially you guys visited our studio. It was one room. Now you guys have come back. It's now 2 rooms.
Yeah.
It's not that different. Yeah.
And then next time it's the whole building.
right. Hopefully they're, yeah.
Helipad.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Bobby, you talked a little bit about goals, and one of the things that I've been like so impressed with, you guys, at least from the outside, is like you guys set goals, and then the amazing part is actually from that moment of setting goals, the kind of ideas you guys have to actually get there, and how, at least from the outside, at the beginning when. I remember you had showed us when we visited Toronto, you had talked about this list you made, and this list is something I want to do. Can you talk about that a little bit? Like, where has it always been? Is it kind of, do you guys share goals in that way? Is that something like as an individual you have, and then that actual strategy to find your path, I guess, towards your goal, and the discipline it takes, I think, that kind of, I feel like there's like so many great things, but also there's two of you, like how does it work, as far as that?
Yeah, we definitely talk about like what our next steps are. Like whenever there's like an amazing moment, like visiting you guys for the first time. Like,
this is our number one goal right here.
Yeah.
Check.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So it like sometimes it'll shift a little bit, like the goals from like our original goal, but we'll always like head towards kind of like the same path of like, oh, let's create something great that can influence people in a good way, and that has a good purpose and
But
we'll be proud about.
And also, it's not like we're always in sync. We will have different goals as well.
Right. Yeah.
So the main thing is that we're making goals, and I think a big part of it is that we, like you guys, we think out of the box, or we at least try to. Like 9 to 5, it doesn't matter if everybody's doing 9 to 5. That doesn't mean that that's what you have to do. So that list that you're talking about was literally, okay, if I could have my life any way I want it, what would that be like? So I started writing down all this stuff. Like, I didn't want to drive far. I didn't want to be away from my family. I didn't want to pretty much listen to anybody telling me what to do. I really liked independence. I really wanted to just have all this freedom, right? But it's funny because when we made the studio, we didn't have all the freedom. Because you can't have freedom unless you have time. And then you can't really have time unless you have a really good routine or schedule, so that you can get everything done and then have time left over to do what you want to do. So for me, I'm very strategic in my thinking. I think that's one of like those things that I was kind of more born with, I guess. So I will have that ultimate goal, and then I'll plan out every little step to get there, and it never goes that way. But at least I have a kind of like a compass, like that's my destination. So if I have to make all these zigzags, at least I know when it comes time to make a decision, I take the decision that will point me closer to that goal. Yeah,
That's great. That's awesome.
big thing is like never take those jobs, for those listeners out there, never take those jobs where it's like, that's not really my goal, it's not going to really get me closer to my goal, but yeah, I could do that real quick.
Yeah.
Never take those jobs, because that's making you sidestep or take a step back, away from your goal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Something interesting, I was, we were having dinner last night, and I was talking with Andrea Blasic.
Mm-hmm.
You guys obviously know him very well. He modeled, sculpted a bunch, like all your Dam Keeper characters, right?
Yeah.
I was talking about decision making, and it was cool because he made me kind of almost think about how I make my decisions. So I think about 4 things when I make a decision. So one is your ROI, your return on investment. What's that gonna be? The other one is your future ROI. It might not be paying right now, or maybe it pays very little right now, but the potential that this will lead to could be huge.
Right.
The next one after that is, how's this going to affect my relationships with my family, with my friends? Is this going to strengthen it, or is this going to make me, crawl into a little cave and not come out for like 3 months? And the last one is my health. Because I went through a bunch of arm problems. You know, so it's like, okay, is this going to hurt my health or is it going to help? And if all those things line up, then I'll do it. I just have to do it. But if none of those things line up, even if it's a really cool project, like I was telling this story because before we got here, we were offered this really cool job to work on this really cool movie, and you know, starring really great people that we really like. But none of those things were there. The ROI, you know, return on investment, it's okay, it's monetary and it's gonna pay well, but you know, we could work for ourselves to make that money or work for somebody else to make that money. It doesn't necessarily have to come from there. Future ROI, well, this movie is a sequel to one that we worked on before. So it's not like we're expanding our portfolio, right? Our body of work. So there's no, you know, future ROI there. And then is it gonna help my relationship with my family and stuff like that? No, because I already have 0 time, so it's gonna make me just not see anybody, and that's gonna also hurt my health. So in the end, even though it was a really cool project I really wanted to work on, I said no so that I can focus on like some YouTube videos and some articles for a blog that I was just telling you guys about, right? Like, it sounds so counterintuitive, but I know that these decisions point to my, you know, ultimate destination.
What is your ultimate destination? Maybe it's
Well, you know, there is an ultimate destination, but this one is more about schoolism, right? So Schoolism is an online school, as you guys know. You guys totally rock on it. Get their class if you guys haven't heard. But so the ultimate goal with Schoolism is making art affordable for everybody, not just people in North America, but for people in like Sri Lanka, in third world countries. You know, it shouldn't be about where you are, you know, how much money you make, who are your parents, stuff like that determine if you can get the best education in the world. We all know that you know, that would be great. That's a very romantic view of education. Well, you know, because I know people like you guys and all these other great artists and willing to share their knowledge, I feel like we have the pieces to actually make that happen, right? And we totally are making that happen now, so it's awesome.
Can I ask, what's the ultimate goal?
Ultimate
Art
goal?
Island.
Oh yeah?
No, don't start saying that kind of stuff.
It's like Artist Survivor?
Ultimate.
It's a beautiful art island where you just create and like.
We had that
fun.
goal before,
We did.
actually,
We did.
of
That's awesome.
eventually
Art
having an art island where we invite our friends over and like cooks and musicians, like all sorts of disciplines of art, and we all just hang out on Art Island. But then one of our friends that's really successful, really like successful and powerful, he was like, you know, one of his friends has an island, and it sucks because there's wolves on the island that he's not allowed to poach. You know, he's not allowed to kill. They're all protected, and sea lions and stuff like this. So it's like this
stranded,
death trap,
really.
you know.
so much to take care of.
And artists are not going to be able to fight off wolves, I guess. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Like
We'd be too busy
try to do
drawing.
plein air
them.
paintings, and you gotta like beware of wolves. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Right.
But yeah, the ultimate goal is to not just help with art education, but to help artists in general, because like, you know, like we were talking earlier before this conversation about how some cities give amazing subsidies, right? But how long is that going to last? And then when that's gone, then all of a sudden all these people are unemployed or have to uproot their whole entire families. I think that's completely unfair, right? And so ultimate goal is to make it fair for artists. you know, wherever you live. It shouldn't be like, okay, you move your company to India to pay for all these people to work for you that are extremely good, and yet you don't pay them even close to what you would pay somebody in LA with the same skill set, right? And so ultimately, I would like to kind of even the playing field with that. Because if we do that, then us as the artists will have the power. Because you can't make a movie without us. You know, you can't do really much without us.
Awesome. That's so cool. I mean, Art Island's awesome too. I don't think.
Metaphorically.
Yes.
Art Island became the Schoolism House.
In Montreal.
Yeah. Because why would you want to detach yourself from the rest of the land?
Civilization.
You
It's
know?
a lot
It doesn't
of
have to be a
work.
literal
It's a lot of
island.
work.
Yeah, you just
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
some land. That's
Yeah.
all you need.
Yeah.
Have it connect to stuff, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Can we talk a little bit more about the schoolism since we are on this
Yeah.
subject? Tell us about how and when you started schoolism and what was your vision back then, and then it has grown quite a bit since.
Right.
Yeah.
So it started a year after, or two after.
Yeah, pretty much like,
Imaginism.
about a year after Imaginism, something like that. They pretty much came right at the same time because, you know, we were in Toronto, Canada, and back then that's when the blogs were really hot. Like, all these amazing people had blogs, and looking at these blogs over the internet from Toronto, it really felt like we were kind of like peering over the fence to this land of amazing artists that we couldn't get to, right? How do they do that stuff? So in the beginning, it was very much created for selfish reasons. We just wanted to learn from all those other people. So on a trip to San Diego Comic-Con, we met one of our very good friends, Steven Silver, and he invited us out to dinner, and I was talking with him, and you know, I really respect his character designs and his philosophies and art and all this stuff, and I really want to learn from him. So I said, yeah, you know the famous artist course Norman Rockwell and his friends created a long time ago? For those of you that don't know, what you would do is you would buy these books, and they would get snail mailed to you. You'd do the assignments, you'd mail them somewhere, and then they'd come back with some scribbles on it of like corrections from these professional artists, you know? And so I told Steven Silver, I was like, you know, we can do this, or I said, we're gonna do this, except it's gonna be the 2000 version where it's through the internet, you know? And this is back then when YouTube was like maybe a year old. You know, it's very, very early on. And we would draw over top of their stuff and send it back to them. And so you make the lessons. I'm gonna watch your lessons and make sure they're good. Okay, so don't you worry. And then Silver was like, yeah, sure, that sounds pretty good, little buddy. And I was like, oh shoot, now I gotta make this school. And that's how Schoolism came about. And then learned so much, you know, asked another person, and then eventually, you know, you got to you guys as well, you know. So it's been great. It's not just, it's like that hair commercial, you know, I'm not just the president, I'm also the client, and absolutely, I'm totally heavily into Schoolism classes.
Awesome. Not to put you on the spot, but I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, Kei. I love your work. How come there's not a Kei class?
Good question. No, I am working towards that.
Oh,
cool.
Yeah.
No,
it's
she
good.
said working towards that, not working on.
That's why I'm taking the Schoolism classes and going to these lectures. Is like I definitely need more work and learning to articulate my process well. But I
also,
have done like workshops in the past. It's just I need to upgrade them, but I am working on it, Robert.
well,
let us-
truthfully, she works on a lot more projects than I do.
Got it.
So she doesn't really, I don't know where you would find the time to work on your own class, even though I've been bugging you for years to do so. I understand why she hasn't.
And I kind of inspired by your graphic novel. I want to make
cool.
a story of my own too, and just put that in paper bound right
Awesome.
now.
So you're actually working. That's something you're working on.
Yeah, but I do teach one-on-one at the studio and at the workshop house.
Cool.
When they ask, and like whenever someone's interested, I'm always like willing to share.
Ooh.
I think
Right.
there
That's awesome.
is
Lots
just a
of people, yeah.
gigantic demand for Kei to give an actual workshop, like a video workshop on Schoolism.
Yeah.
Because, you're a part of Schoolism family.
Yeah.
And you, Bobby, you do give your workshop, so that's why I think a lot of people are just wondering when.
I just
your
need to
class
be
will
more
be.
organized, like you guys are. And, like, record the process.
Yeah. No, that would be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's like a. I mean, it's really, to be honest, like I'm so inspired by you guys because I do think like. You guys have figured out how to work with each other, but then also how to make that relationship create things that then go out into the world and make films and make classes and make go after these big goals. Because I have to say, like, when you start a studio, you have these big goals, and you start in an apartment, right? Like that's where you start. Is like you're sitting around some table that's like not really, it's like everything's pieced together. But that's where like real goals get kind of whispered, and then, 10 years later, you're actually trying to find your way to live through those things. And like right now, like what are your so Schoolism has its kind of goals as to its spread. What are like creative goals that you guys have? Like as artists yourself that talking about learning a lot and I feel like, well, what do you guys have to learn? You guys are pretty established artists. So what are you guys feeling like you guys want to learn about or do? And
Well, like, okay, let me kind of put the question back, right? Like, do you feel like you have any more to learn?
no, I think I figured it out. No. No, yeah. Like, part of the reason why I work with Dice, to be honest, is because he's someone who challenges me in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways. But yeah, I think, it's like there are so many things, but I'm also finding too that it has less and less to do with art making. Like currently, like writing the book was really challenging. Like we had never written anything before. And so my kind of interest is also kind of shifting over time, like I enjoy writing, I enjoy creating these things, and drawing and painting is great, but they're almost a means to an end, But that's for us, or for me, I don't know, and that's why I was curious for you guys who are pretty, obviously skilled and talented and making work that I would imagine, when you graduated school, you're like, I never imagined I'd be making these kind of things, but you guys are kind of doing it. A lot of people are aspiring to do what you guys are doing, but I'm just curious when you guys, like, what is it you're looking at creatively that is interesting to you right now?
Search for knowledge for me. It's just, this is the artistic journey. Nobody can get to the finish line. If you think that you got to the finish line, you're just kidding yourself, right? That definitely seems to be the commonality between all of these successful artists out there. It's this constant search for the next challenge, for knowledge.
And art is always evolving, like in such a rapid pace now, especially with like the different technologies, like the waterlog app, like that pretty much just simulates like that, watercolor by just pressing a button, and it looks like this, like a person made it, like, but it doesn't have that soul, but like it's the technology now. There's so many
And things keep
possibilities.
changing. Like, I've seen how you guys have changed the industry, with your color scripting and, the way that you color script, where it has this flow to it. Like, what is the climax? Where are the, what's the intensity of this scene, and what does this symbolize? And the way that you organize it, I see so many other studios now doing that or trying to do that, right? And that did come from. That came from you guys.
No, I didn't. And I didn't. It's,
but you guys did it in a certain way.
yeah,
And that
but-
was
but-
your way.
I mean, obviously, you know, a lot of people, especially at Pixar, I learned from, you know, in a way, kind of touching upon what you guys are saying. Like, there's so much to learn, and there's almost like it kind of requires a bit of a skills to find what you can learn in your surroundings too. Like, you have to almost look for it sometimes to like discover things that, you know. One thing I love this thing that people say, that it's not just about, you know, things that you know you don't know, but sometimes there are things that you don't know. And that's the most dangerous thing, because you don't even realize that you don't know those things. And hopefully in the process of growing that you find out that you actually don't know certain things, and that's when you get excited about learning, right? And it seems like you guys are constantly looking for things to kind of better yourselves and learn and, right, grow as artists.
I think like we could probably all agree, if you know, because we all strive for not just the normal level of art, but we're really striving for the highest level of art we could possibly do. And to do that, you have to constantly learn. You have to constantly challenge yourself, and you can't just get comfortable and find this technique or whatever, and that's it. You don't keep looking. Yeah, so it's almost like a necessity. It's almost like a way of life.
It's part of being an artist.
Yeah.
Well, I have a few more questions actually to Kei, you know, because every time it's really fascinating to talk to Bobby, because Bobby can articulate things so well. I love, like I learned, right? Rob and I always talk about things that you talk about. Like when we meet, we talk over dinner, and you know, all the sort of tips and strategies in life, and we just get inspired. And I'm just curious, since you're Bobby's partner and as an amazing, talented artist, but Bobby being such a very articulate person who can inspire, you know, I'm curious how is that? It's a little bit different, right? You are, you know, Bobby's wife and partner. It's a little bit different from us just taking the inspiration from Bobby, but it must be like very powerful. I can imagine it's both ways. Just sometimes, like Bobby knows so much, and you know, I don't know where I'm getting at, but I'm just curious since
I like to think we balance each other out.
She keeps it real for me. Trust me. It's like, Bobby, you know, he might have said that, but don't get a big head.
I keep him grounded. I like to think that I keep him grounded, you know.
It's great.
Just keep being critical about like every step that we do. Well, not too critical that, you know, like, you know, keep things organic and balanced at the same time, and fun is like very important to me. So yeah, I don't know what to say about that. It just works. Like we'll definitely have our trying times, you know, but that's part of the journey. And you know, the most important thing is that we, you know, put up the effort, right?
Put up with each other. Put up with our differences, because we're very different.
Yeah, and you know, and just focus on the right things, and be positive is a huge thing.
I mean, when you guys have dinner, sit down and have dinner, are you guys talking art constantly?
Oh yeah, art is life.
Yeah.
For us, like.
Awesome.
Even like we've in the past we've made a pact, like let's not talk about work, you know, this and that, but like you can't help it sometimes.
That's
and we're lucky, like we can do it in a way that it's healthy for our relationship. Like we know when to stop, or like we know when to just like, all right, let's just like, you know, fuck around and like do other things beside art, or you know, take a walk in the park, like think about our families, you know, like our nieces, like normal things.
Yeah, if I didn't have Kei, I would just be in the studio just grinding it out every stinking day, and I never would have, you know, traveled to all these places and like did all these fun things. And then in turn, all those traveling and all that stuff, I never would have met so many people or learned from so many people. And through the traveling, also we get inspired, right? It helps our art as well. And I would have totally missed out on that as well. So I think, you know, I'm very strategic and organized and like discipline, and then Kei is like
Very intense.
thanks. No, it's true. I was very intense because I could just see the bank account just keep dropping every week, when we were first starting.
Well, and I can get very intense too with work, where it's just like, I gotta do this, like we have to finish this kind of thing. But like, it's important to take a step back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
One of the coolest things you guys have done, or at least as an artist, I'm so envious, is that you guys stepped away, went to Paris, and tasked yourself with creating a show while in Paris for a show that was opening like in a month, kind of thing. Where did that come from, and how did it go? And
It came from just wanting to live the Paris life.
That was from your side.
That's from my side.
Right? Like this was our third time doing that. So we did that for the first Alice in Wonderland. Then we did it for our own show called Creatures and Spirits, and then this time for Alice Through a Looking Glass. So the Alice in Wonderland one, I don't know how it came about, because you were talking with Diane Lunier, the owner of Art Ludique, and then you guys both came to me like already kind of decided,
Yeah, because we planned like all our dates, like, oh, let's go shopping here, or let's take a walk here. We could do this if you live here for a month. And then
yeah, so then I was like, okay.
It's like, oh, why don't we make a show at that time? Because Alice is coming out again, like what we did in the first time. So it just
by that time it was our
up.
third time, so I knew what I was in for. I knew it was going to be great, super fun, and living in Paris. Even though, of course, we love our studio, our artists, and everybody working at the studio. But living in Paris, just painting every day, drawing every day, it's like you step into another dimension where Bobby and Kei, they're just these artists in France, and that's what they do. It's really nice to experience that.
that's awesome.
Totally imagine. That's amazing.
Sounds awesome.
Is there another side to it?
Oh, it was great.
Yeah, it was great.
I loved
but
it.
There's that pressure to
Yeah.
like deliver,
Right.
like make a good show.
Is that like an important part of it though? Like
Oh,
having that deadline, having like the pressure of,
absolutely.
at this point people, I would imagine, are collecting your work, and there's expectation, given that it's your third show, there's expectation. But it sounded like, Kei, you told me before that each of you were going to do 20 pieces. And when you guys had talked to us about it before, I thought they were going to be like cute little sketches, but you guys did full-on paintings and drawings and really kind of impressive body of work in a short period of time. It seems like there's a bit of therapy to it, like getting out there, getting away from the studio, being in Paris, but also, there's a lot of other ways to kind of meet that therapy. There's obviously this kind of part of having that deadline that was like a part of this. You guys definitely wanted to do the show and definitely had expectations for what that show was going to be. It seems like it's the work was impressive. It's not like, like we know what it's like to put together a show, and it's like it's a lot of work. But it wasn't a vacation.
Our
in other
show
words.
is
There's kind of
not close to the scale that you guys did, for one.
Well, but but in a month, that's crazy. Yeah.
But
But anyways,
just two of you.
it was just the two of you. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty impressive. Yeah, very impressive. Yeah. But it's just so cool to see you guys finding your own way. Like when you guys are going on vacation, or you guys are going to Paris, like your work never separates from who you are. Your artwork is so entrenched in not just who you are individually, but collectively as well, which is, I think, just so impressive. I'm just, as a fan, I feel like sitting from the outside, it feels like very,
It's weird.
very, very
It's
cool.
weird that you're saying you're a fan.
I think that's like the coolest thing, because like we're huge fans of you guys, and the stuff that you guys have been doing has just been like super inspiring and super
Even before
motivational.
you were at Pixar, or like, and when you were still in school, I remember seeing your sketches.
yeah?
Embarrassing, yeah.
So then
Sketches the girls?
Yeah. Right. But no, yeah. Well, thank
We'll
you
put that in the
guys.
show notes, some links.
Yeah, right. Sketches
Yeah,
to my college work. That'd be-
Sweet. All right.
I would lose work. Yeah.
Okay, so we have a very few, we don't have a lot of time left, but we'd love to hear what's next to conclude this podcast.
What's next? Our show, Nico and the Sword of Light, comes out next year, full season.
Cool.
Alright.
Congratulations.
Thank you. June on Amazon Prime. It's going to be binge watching, all episodes out at the same time. So that's going very heavy right now. The whole Nico and the Sword of Light thing, it was made by 2 other people. It's 4 creators altogether, Kei and I, and Jim Bryson and Adam Jeffcoat. So the whole entire idea was once we put out the animated comic book, which is how it came out in the beginning, and we sell this thing, get some big studio to buy it and make it into a show or a movie or whatever, then we're going to step back and they are going to keep going. Right? So I forget what the question was in the beginning, but that's kind of like where we are now.
And we have like our independent work, like our illustrations that we do on the side.
Oh.
You guys are always at Comic-Con.
We're always
Yes.
at
You guys will be at
Comic-Con.
Comic-Con this year.
Yes, sir. We'll be at Comic-Con. G7 and 8. Table G7.
G78.
Yeah, G7 and
And
8.
CTN. Are you guys doing CTN this year?
Yeah, we'll be at
CTN, yeah.
CTN. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you guys are going, the Schoolism is going to Copenhagen? That's next?
Schoolism
Yeah,
is
it's going to Copenhagen.
And Dubai.
Hopefully Japan, hopefully China, still working on these things, not for sure, but yeah, actually, and nowadays that there's other people that deal with that kind of stuff, so half the time I don't even know what's going on with the workshops these days, but we do try to go to as many as possible. Yeah. What's next for me is really more schoolism stuff. I really don't feel like I'm finished that mission. Kei, she's working on projects right now, just one after the other. So.
And
That
moving
is my
towards
mission.
a class. Moving towards a class.
Moving towards the class
Awesome. Great. Well, guys, so nice to have you here. Thank you so much for coming to speak with us on Tonkocast.
It's our honor
Yeah.
and our pleasure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we always enjoy when you guys come.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we learn a lot.
And inspiring.
Yeah.
It's
Really
just a
inspiring.
big room of
Oh,
love
it's-
because it's right back at you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks.
The feeling is very mutual.
Awesome. Cool.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.